All right, we're here with Jay Winfrey today, old friend of mine from the Central Oklahoma Returned Peace Corps Volunteer Group. And Jay is going to introduce himself and then we'll take it from there. Go ahead, Jay.
Hi, my name is Jay Winfrey. My parents named me Julian, which I rarely go by. I live in Norman, Oklahoma, and I served in West Africa, the country of Sierra Leone, from 1969 to 1971.
Okay, so you are a younger man than me.
I'm a young pup.
Okay, now, before we get to your Peace Corps service, I'd like you to give us some of your background. Where were you born? Who are your parents? Your siblings, if you had any? And we'll go from there.
Okay, well, I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, St. John's Hospital. I like to say coat closet, third floor. I was raised in Oklahoma City, went to elementary school and high school in Oklahoma City at St. Mary's in South Oklahoma City. And let's see, my mother and father is Weldon Winfrey and Rosalie Winfrey. They're both from Texas. And football brought my dad to the University of Tulsa in 1939 or 40. He got to play in the Sugar Bowl, the only time the University of Tulsa has been there. And my mother, Rosalie Winfrey, is from Central Texas, south of Waco, about 60 miles, a little farm community called Cameron. And actually, she's from a little smaller town, a Czech community called Marak, Texas.
Okay.
And I've had 4 brothers and sisters. My oldest brother just passed away last summer, Ron. And he played football actually at the University of Oklahoma. Very good. My younger brother Dennis resides here in Norman. My youngest older sister resides here in Norman, Jeanette. And my youngest sister lives in San Diego, California. Her name's Leone.
Okay. Were any of them in the Peace Corps?
No, they were not, no.
Okay. And I take it, well, we'll get to that later. As for now, tell us what kind of you said you went to a Catholic school?
Uh-huh.
Throughout your elementary years?
Elementary and high school, yeah.
Oh, and high school. Okay. All right. Was there ever any talk at your high school, particularly your high school, about Peace Corps? Did you even know what it was?
I can't say that there was much information about the Peace Corps at that time. I may have heard of somebody. I heard of somebody who went to a similar thing that the Catholic Church had, extension volunteers down in, I think it's El Salvador.
Okay.
Or Guatemala, one of those. And so I got to know a guy who was getting ready to go there. But that's when I was in high school, but that's the only similar contact I had.
Yeah, but you didn't talk to him after the experience. You talked to him before he went. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, and when I went to OU's, my first exposure to the Peace Corps, our dorm counselors were both Peace Corps, ex-Peace Corps volunteers. So they were one of the early groups, like 61 or 62, something like that.
Uh-huh. And did you talk to them about it?
Yes, they really encouraged me, and I thought, well, that might be something interesting to do later on.
Why do you think they talked to you about it?
I guess because I expressed an interest in it.
Did you just say, well, what's Peace Corps?
No, I knew by then.
Oh, you knew.
I was very impressed that they had gone. They were so young and had already served over there, overseas.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I guess they must have favorably impressed you with the time that they had.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They said it's just remarkable. Hey, another thing in the popular culture back then, another thing that I pivoted off of was a guy named Tom Dooley.
Oh, yeah.
He was a doctor, missionary in Laos, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And he died there because I heard the story was that he had a car wreck. The only two vehicles in the country of Cambodia collided, and he died from that.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Well, I don't know if that's an actual
Huh.
true story or not, but that's anyway. So he also hearing about him inspired my interest in pivoting that way. You know.
But when you were at OU, and what was your first year at OU?
1965.
Okay. When you were there in 1965, what were you studying, and what did you think you wanted to be?
Well, I thought I wanted to be a doctor, but me and some of the sciences just didn't understand each other too well. So I wound up with a sociology major, and I thought, well, when I applied to the Peace Corps, I thought, well, the only way this is going to work is if they look at my work experience, because I was raised in a pipeline company, family, and I worked five or so summers as just a laborer in the field, helping a welder, digging ditches, that sort of thing, hands-on dirt work. You know?
Mm-hmm. So you thought that's something Peace Corps could use.
That experience might come in handy somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Why were you doing this hard manual labor? Did you want to?
Did I want to? Well, I sort of, you know how parents are at age 18, 17. And my father said, no, you come up here, we'll get you to work in the summer. And so it paid really good, and I was able to pay my way through college like that.
Oh, really?
Oh. Plus a little job at OU doing dishwasher.
Uh-huh. So, did you meet some interesting people on your job?
Oh yeah, you know, I mean, blue collar workers they are just, you know, they're the salt of the earth, and that's where so many of us come from.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, they just inspire that work tradition in you, that work ethic, and yeah. There's my younger brother and I, my older brothers as well, work there too, and so we know some of the welders and some of the machine operators by name, and some of the stories and things they did, and we still talk about them today.
It almost sounds like a puzzle that's being put together, and it's your puzzle.
Oh, I tell you what, you're not far off.
Yeah. And when the puzzle gets made, you're in the Peace Corps, or at least you're applying for the Peace Corps. Would that be, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Jay, but does that make sense to you at all?
Yeah, it's, you know, I appreciate that. That's a good way, a good perspective.
Okay. So, when did you graduate from OU?
Yeah, I graduated in 1969.
Okay, right on time then.
Right on time.
No dilly-dallying for you.
No, just hard work. Dig that ditch, get that homework done.
Not in a fraternity.
No, didn't.
Okay. So it sounds like you enjoyed this hard manual labor and the whole experience.
Oh, I did, yeah. It was, you know, obviously I didn't want to do it forever, but it was enjoyable. You know, the physical sweating, that's...
It was the means to an end, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, what did you get your degree in again?
Sociology.
Sociology.
Minor in political science.
Now, people would sometimes ask, you got a degree in sociology, what is that worth? What can you do with that?
Well, you could go in and get a master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could, you know, just having a degree is valuable in and of itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, my experience is that employers just nod to you that you got a degree, and it opens so many doors that otherwise would be closed.
Yeah. So you enjoyed studying sociology?
Well, I enjoyed the concept of sociology. the studying was very rigorous. I mean, it was, you know, it was a lot of statistics involved. And, you know, but you got to, you know, burn the night oil there.
So it sounded like you liked the idea of that, but not the practicality so much of it,
Well,
or the nuts and bolts of it. Let's
you,
put it
you
that
know,
way.
I like the investigation of the world of social society, because, you know, we're social beings as mammals. And it just really intrigued me. I probably would have designed the course a little bit differently had I been the chair of the department. But, you know, I just saluted and went and followed the line, which they're very good. The chair was a big gun in juvenile delinquency. It just wasn't my interest at that time.
Yeah.
I was more of an adult interaction sort of predisposition, I guess.
Did you ever see yourself as being a social worker or wanting to be a social
No,
worker?
but you know, those two guys in the Peace Corps, my two dorm counselors,
Yes.
they were social work majors, and they were telling me I should do that. And I had, you know, had the common misconception about social workers. Just as somebody peered under the bedroom, the bed to look for shoes to disqualify somebody. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I said, I didn't understand how rich of a profession it is, you know. Can be.
Yes, it can bring great joy and great sadness.
Oh yeah,
all of those.
Yeah, well, it's wider than what I thought. You know, if I had to do it again, I might consider it.
But at that time, you didn't.
I did not, no.
Why? Even though you were being encouraged by these two Peace Corps guys.
It just didn't feel right for it. Didn't feel like a fit.
Yeah. All right. So you got your degree, and were you going to go on and get a master's? Was that the idea?
No. About, I forgot when, but about 6 months before I graduated, Bobby Kennedy came to OU to speak.
I was there.
Yes, I was there as well.
Yes.
The old OU field house.
Right.
And I was so impressed with what he was talking about that I said, I'm going to do that.
Do what?
I'm going to join the Peace Corps.
Oh, was he talking about Peace Corps?
Yes,
that
he
day?
said, and how he phrased it was, he said, there's a lot of things that need to be done, but you can't do them if you're just sitting on your ass. Something like that. And I thought, yes, I'm interested. And so, anyway, I sent off an application, and it came, my acceptance came about 4 weeks before graduation, and I didn't know what I was going to do.
Wow.
I know Uncle Sam had plans for me, but I was really intrigued and thrilled by it.
That's amazing, because I was at that field house that day,
Yeah.
and I actually shook his hand.
Oh, how wonderful.
When he came down off the stage, and he was weaving his way through the crowd, I got in line.
Good for you, Richard.
Yeah, oh, God. That was a holy moment for me.
It was significant in my life, too.
The other thing I remember about him in that session was that he told all of us who had 2S deferments that we shouldn't have that. There shouldn't be 2S deferments.
What is a 2S?
That meant selective service. As long as you were in college, you couldn't be drafted.
Oh, right, exactly. Yeah.
He said that's wrong. He said that's absolutely wrong. And he got a standing ovation from all of us who had 2S deferments.
Yeah.
Do you remember that at all?
I don't recall that.
Oh, okay. Okay. But he had quite an impact on you,
Oh, yes.
to say the least.
Oh, yes. Many people, but yeah, for what it's worth, that's pivoted my life.
That one appearance at the field house.
Truly.
Yeah. All right. And so right after that, you got an application. How'd you get the application?
You know, I don't know. I don't recall how I got the application.
Did you ever talk to a Peace Corps representative?
No.
A recruiter, they were
No.
called? No? Okay.
No, I just wrote off to somebody, or maybe my dorm counselors that I knew back then provided the information.
Oh, they might have told you?
You know, just write this office in Washington, D.C., and they'll send you an application.
Uh-huh. And you said it was 4 weeks after you sent the application, you got a notice that you
No, it was 4 weeks before I graduated.
Oh, okay. Straighten me out there. About when did you send the application?
I want to say January 1969,
Okay.
and maybe by April or May, I got the acceptance letter.
Okay, what did the acceptance letter say?
It said, well, my mother said, apparently the letter got lost, but my mother had transcribed it, and I recently came across it. But anyway, it says, congratulations, you know, you've been selected to join Peace Corps, and we welcome you to the training class for Sierra Leone, the country of Sierra Leone. And my ignorance showed really strongly then, because I said to myself, great, I've never been to South America.
I was just going to ask if you knew where Sierra Leone was.
No. But then I
Okay.
found out I was in Africa, I go, oh, okay, cool.
Africa's cool too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. And how much time did you have to prepare from the notice to the time when you were shipping out?
Maybe 2.5 months.
Okay.
We left the end of June. So I graduated, I think in May 15th.
Probably.
And so I guess I had about 6 weeks.
You left the end of June?
Yeah, they staged in Philadelphia.
Okay, before we do that,
Yeah.
let's talk about when you got the news, and you're telling your friends and family, of course, and they're commenting.
Well, they were thrilled for me. I think my parents were they might have been hesitant, but overall, like my sisters were thrilled, my brothers know, you know, as far as brothers congratulating you,
Yeah.
they did well, you know.
Mhm.
They wished me luck and stuff. And
Did they all understand that you were going to be gone for 2 years?
yeah, I think that was the hesitancy from
Yeah.
my parents, you know.
Right.
But yeah, overall, they were supportive.
Okay, one other thing about the acceptance. Did it mention anything about learning the language?
I don't recall. I don't
Okay.
recall that it was mentioned.
Was that something that weighed on you at all when you were waiting to go into Peace Corps?
No,
That I'm going to have to learn a language, and
no.
did you think to yourself, I can learn another language, there's no problem?
You know, I don't know that it crossed my mind. I was just,
Really?
yeah. I had about 3 languages in, you know, high school and college.
Okay.
So I was exposed to it, but I was far from fluent in any of them.
Yeah.
But so I just thought, well, okay, we'll do it.
So you knew the rudiments anyway of learning a language.
Yeah.
You just hadn't done it.
Yeah, I have not been fluent in anything other than English.
Okay. So that was something that you first confronted when you got to training.
Yeah, they put us in we trained in country. I don't know if you did or not.
No, I did not.
Yeah, there were a lot of, maybe we were transitioning at that time to in-country training. Anyway, we got there end of June, and I think it was around July 6th or so, or maybe or end of June when the moon landing occurred.
Oh, yeah.
And we all
69.
gathered. We were in training at Jala University, or Jala College in Sierra Leone, and somebody had a two-way radio on BBC, and they were broadcasting the moon landing. You know.
Wow.
So we were all gathered around and just couldn't believe it.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it was astounding.
Mm.
Yeah, so we were in Jolliffe training for about 2 months, language training, getting tours, going out to villages, meeting and greeting local folks, trying to learn their culture, their habits, their language, and it was very nice.
How many were you in training?
Oh, well, see, I was in agriculture. They put me in what they call chieftain development. A chieftain is a subdivision, kind of like a county. And so we were in chieftain development, which meant rice development, water wells, poultry, vegetables, that sort of thing.
Would you think to yourself, I don't know anything about any of that?
No, I didn't think that at all. I thought, oh, cool. I've done some of that, and I can learn the rest. You know.
Uh-huh.
So.
So you were energized by it. You weren't thinking,
Oh yeah.
what the hell are they doing here?
Oh no, I was so happy.
Okay.
Yeah, I was very, very fortunate.
All right. So how many were there?
Okay, so
wherever you were.
Where I was at, were about 30 to 40.
Okay.
Maybe.
From all over.
From all over the United States.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you name it, most people were. I was the only one from Oklahoma. For years, I thought I was the only former volunteer from Oklahoma because I never made any Peace Corps volunteers at all. Till I think I met a guy back in the '70s who was a former country director down in South America who was teaching at OU, and I got introduced to some other former Peace Corps people. I was so happy about that. But there are people from like your experience too, I'm sure, all over Oregon, Montana, Idaho, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever.
Yeah.
New York,
LA, San Francisco.
South Carolina.
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah. Well, it must have been a treat for a guy like you to meet all these different people.
Oh yes, I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was kind of from time to time there would be a kind of Peace Corps angst that would come up, and we'd get worried for some reason.
An angst?
A-N-G-S-T, angst.
Oh, anxiety.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And somebody raised some subject, and we'd start worrying about it, and then everybody would worry about it. Did you have anything like that?
During training, no, I can't say I did during training.
Okay. How long did your training last?
2 months, around 2 months.
2 months. Okay. Where did you stay during this time?
Well, at the college, we only stayed there for about a month, 6 weeks, where we had daily language training.
Did you stay in a dorm?
Dormitory.
Yeah.
Well, no, let me back that up. It was a little hut with four, it was built of cinder block, concrete, but it would hold like 4 people. Maybe 2 people on each side, something like that.
Mm.
And that was our first training location. The final training location, we moved to a different part of the country, more in the center of the country, and it was at a dormitory situation. It was not a Catholic secondary, which is high school dormitory, where there's I think just for men, for boys only.
Mm-hmm. Did you all take your meals with one another?
Oh yeah, the cafeteria served the meals at both locations. Yes.
How was the food?
It had a bent toward the English. So there was orange marmalade, which I gave all my marmalade to anybody else who cared for it. wasn't my treat. I mean, and so we'd have it wasn't the American breakfast. It wasn't eggs and bacon. It was maybe toast.
Sounds like a colonial breakfast.
That's probably what it was like. It was closer to a colonial breakfast.
Yeah.
But Sierra Leone didn't gain independence in 1961. Sierra Leone was a colony until 1961.
An English colony.
An English colony,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Did you get to meet very many people from Sierra Leone during your training?
Yeah, we were surrounded by them. I mean, we were immersed with the locals, you know, going to market, or our teachers were Sierra Leonean.
Okay.
You know, just everywhere you went. I mean,
Now, I assume that if it's like a lot of other countries in Africa, there were a number of languages.
yes, the Sierra Leone is half the size of Oklahoma
Okay.
and has twice the population of Oklahoma at that time, and I think still today. They spoke 13 different tribal languages.
Okay.
And they were united by one language, which is a pidgin English. It was called Creole. And that was the lingua franca that we all used to get around. And all the, you know, somebody who's a Karanko could talk to somebody who's a Susu by using Creole, which is a mixture of Portuguese, English, French, Timni, a local language, and Mende. So it's plus probably a couple others I'm leaving out. So it was an amalgam of languages, and that's what they taught us. That was our main language. And they gave us a little bit of, toward the end of language training, a little bit of Timni, which is the tribal area I was assigned to. And
that sounds harder to learn than just a language. By combining all these languages into one.
well, you know, it was challenging, but it was also friendly because it was English based. So we were fortunate. You know, I was fairly well spoken in Creole, but Timni, the tribal language, I tell you, boy, I struggled. I struggled. I could catch a few phrases. And a few of our guys who were silver-tongued devils were fluent in it. One or two or three or four of them were.
Yeah. But
it was challenging. I could pick up a few languages, like somebody look at me odd, and you go, "It's a me, eh?" So I knew a few phrases to get by with, you know.
But at the end of training, were you worried at all about how am I going to communicate when I'm sent to this little tribal village and they're all speaking their language and I don't really know it?
You know, almost everybody spoke Creole.
Oh.
The British were there, I don't know when, 200-300 years. So, you know, plus that gave them all time to develop the language, the Creole language. So even way back, out in the bush, you can find somebody who spoke Creole. And even English, maybe French.
Yeah.
Maybe French too.
Mm-hmm. Well, you didn't speak French too, did you?
No, but my assignment was 6 miles from Guinea, which had been a French colony.
French, yeah.
So it was bleeding over of people and languages.
All right. So why don't you tell me then about what your assignment was like? That physically, first of all.
Well, I was lucky in a sense. I wasn't isolated like some guys were. I was sent to Cambia district. Sierra Leone has like 7 or 8 or 10 districts.
Okay.
Which are comprised of smaller chiefdoms.
All right.
Which is administrative unit. The paramount chief is the head in charge of all the goings on in his district of all his tribal people.
So the village would have a paramount chief?
Yes.
And his equivalent in Western culture would be what, mayor?
A little bit higher than mayor, lower than governor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all right. Something like that.
So he had power.
Oh, he had definitely power, yeah.
And it would behoove you to get to know him.
if in a small, I was in a village, Cambia is the town I was in, and it was a village of 3,000 people. Most paramount chiefs did not reside in a district capital like that so much. A lot of paramount chiefs were in a village with maybe a couple hundred people. And in that situation, it behooved you definitely, most definitely, to know him.
Mm-hmm.
But in Cambia, it wasn't so much, because there's a lot of district governmental officials there, like the district officer. You'd have the prison, maybe the police chief was there. You had the head of the high schools and the little elementary schools. They were all there too. You had foreigners too, who were like medical doctors.
Oh.
Were there too.
Foreigners, you said?
Yes, like from Pakistan, I want to say, India.
And they were providing the health care to the village?
Excuse me. Yes.
They didn't have their own people, they had people that came in.
Yes, Sierra Leone was dependent on, foreign assistance for medical, especially medical situations. Most professionals. There's one college in Sierra Leone, a university, Fora Bay. And I think it's the oldest college, university in West Africa. All the countries that comprise West Africa. It had been there a long time. I think they mostly turned out teachers and governmental officials.
Okay, and it provided health care. Did you say that it had a medical school or not? Or did you just say?
No, it did not.
It had just
not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Not to my knowledge. But getting back to Paramount Chief, it would have been probably smoother for me had I gone and greeted him better, as opposed to just say hello, how are you, They really appreciate signs of obeisance.
Yeah.
So.
You didn't know that at first.
I probably ignored it, honestly. I thought, well, I'm American, we're all equal, egalitarian.
And I don't believe in this stuff of exalted
Well,
position.
I didn't understand the utilitarian, practical, good sense it made. Dummy me, but anyway, the people I did get along with, the locals, like the district agriculture guy and the district officer, people like that, I did very well with.
Did you have anybody, Jay, who sort of took you under his or her wing?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Tell us about that.
The guy was a mixture of, he's half African, his mother was Timni, his father had been a Lebanese trader. The Lebanese like to say, as I understand it, they're the descendants of the ancient Phoenicians. They love to say there are more Lebanese outside of Lebanon than inside the country of Lebanon.
Huh.
And so, apparently they've been in Sierra Leone for a couple hundred years. And so many of them intermarried. Excuse me. So Said Antar was the man, he was the most prominent merchant in the town. He was young, vibrant. He reminded me of a young Yul Brynner.
Huh.
He was well known among townspeople, and he knew how to play politics to excellent degree. Anyway, he liked us because he had a wonderful experience with the previous Peace Corps people, I think. And so he knew us all, but he took me and another guy, my roommate, under his wings mostly. And then when my roommate left, he took me only,
Well, let me ask you this. When you lived in that community, Cambia,
The K, yes.
Okay. You did not live by yourself.
No, there were teachers there. Peace Corps teachers. Cambia was so it's a big district. Cambia district, maybe 50 miles by 50 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fairly large district. And so Cambia town, city, was the center of the district. So we had, Peace Corps had been there as teachers since the Peace Corps started. Sierra Leone may have been one of the first countries that started. So there was 3 high school teachers, Peace Corps, two Peace Corps elementary teachers, and then myself. So I lived with 3 other Peace Corps people.
Wow.
In one house, yeah. And so, you know, plus
Very different.
plus the Canadians and the English have their own similar Peace Corps organization.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, like the Canadians are called CUSO, C-U-S-O, I think, or something similar to that.
Uh-huh.
Canadians volunteering, Canadians United in Service Overseas.
Okay.
Something like that.
Uh-huh.
CUSO. And so they had one CUSO person, one in Sierra Leone, in Cambia, and then they had 2 British Peace Corps types, and they were called VSO, Volunteer in Service Overseas. So these were also 3 other additional teachers. So
Very similar to Peace Corps.
yeah, exactly. 1 or 2 year commitments, mostly teaching, you know.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you had a real cavalcade of
I was not.
people
I was not alone as far as isolated. So I was very fortunate like that.
Gosh, that's surprising. I thought the further back in the 60s you went, the more isolation there would be.
Oh, well, that's what most of the guys, I was one of maybe 4 or 5 guys who did not get an isolated assignment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then even the isolated guys, they did wonderful. I mean, you learn to survive. And you find enjoyment, you know, where you uncover rocks to find enjoyment and interest. And so those guys too, they did some wonderful.
Absolutely, yeah. Did everybody in your training group make it over?
Well, they deselected about 2 or 3 guys.
Okay, what were the reasons for that?
Well, one, you know, it's just personal things. Some were personal things like just inability to comprehend what was going on. Another was maybe too much of a know-it-all. I think it seemed like it was probably our ag director, and I'm sure the education directors made the same call. And you know, I'm sure they tried to be objective, but I'm sure a lot of it was personality clashes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, some guys just left themselves. A couple of guys just left them on their own.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Certainly, that's true everywhere. You're the first one that I've interviewed who used the word deselection.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In fact, most never even heard that word.
Well, maybe because we were trained over there.
Well, I don't know.
They deselected you, whatever.
Yeah.
There was a gentrified word to say, you're out of there.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you didn't have any uprisings or anything like that about people being deselected for reasons you didn't understand, or they didn't understand.
It was done privately. Oh, plus they had a psychologist come and interview each person individually.
Mm-hmm.
Now there, I did develop some angst.
Mm-hmm. When the psychologist did the psychologist interview you?
Yes, during training.
Yeah. What was he trying to find out from you?
You know, I guess how grounded you were, how much of a plan you had in your life, at that young age.
Yeah.
You, and how stable, maybe stable you were, and how you got along with people, I guess. And I got to tell you, I was sweating it because I was going, oh.
Do you think of it as it's like playing a game, and I got to get this game right? I mean, I could say something that I believe, and all of a sudden I'm gone.
No, I was pretty direct, pretty straightforward, pretty. I was naive. I didn't gamer. I didn't play.
You just took it at what it seemed to be.
At face value. Yes.
Yeah.
So somebody said something right. So that's the only angst I had. That I thought, oh man, it's the last week of training.
Were you and the others at all worried that you might get out?
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah.
Why were you?
Well,
Sounds like you were having a great time.
I was, but as far as going, well, I'm not. I intend to go back and work as an electrical engineer after serving my military obligations. Something like that. I mean, my plans were, man, I'm going to be here 2 years. This is fantastic.
Uh-huh.
And that's about the end of the train that I could see.
Plus, you were not going to be drafted, and you were not going to wind up.
No. The Peace Corps did do a deferment for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, you're on your own.
Right. So you had that deferment for 2 years. And
Yes.
did that play any part in your wanting to be in the Peace Corps in the first place? To get a deferment so you wouldn't have to be in the military?
No, I mean, I'm not going to say people weren't aware of that. Like,
sure.
in fact, some people, pretty blatant. That's why they did it.
Mm-hmm.
I did it because I heard Bobby Kennedy. Honest to God,
Right.
I just
Right.
like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'll find out what happens later.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what I'm going to do. I was committed to it.
Okay. I can see that you were. There's no doubt.
Oh, okay.
My group was a mixed bag, more of a mixed bag. There were some who were like you, exactly. And then there were others who, I'm not going to NAM. No matter what, I'm not going.
Yeah.
And that was the reason they were in Peace Corps.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Now you are with all these other Americans, Canadians, and British in an enclave. Is that?
I guess you could say that. I mean,
Did it feel like an enclave?
no. I mean, the center of town was a local bar, Conco's. And there you met people from all over the world, coming and going,
Mm-hmm.
because it was near the ferry that went to Guinea,
Mm-hmm.
which was communist Guinea at the time. I forgot the guy's name, the dictator there, but he was a communist, and or at least a heavy socialist, I forgot which.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, you have interesting people coming and going all the time. Plus, you met the locals, like the electric guy, or one of the native folks, or one of the teachers, or another Peace Corps even, or somebody would be down at the bar, or my buddy Saeed. He would be there, and we would. That's where you got socialized with the locals.
Did you learn some of the language there? Or
Oh yeah, of course, yes.
And you went there expecting that I'm going to benefit from this. I'm not only going to have a good time and have a couple of beers.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is school.
Uh-huh. And it's my kind of school.
My kind of school. I'm going to learn here and meet people, and I did.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Did you meet some people at that time that you still keep up with
Well,
all these years later?
I did. I was going to show this photograph I got. Yeah, there's about 7 of us who stayed in touch. 7 or 8 of us.
Who all served there at that time?
Yeah, served there at that time. Unfortunately, 3 of them died. 4. No, last summer the 4th one died. but we're still together, and there's right now there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us left, I think. Maybe there's like 10 of us, you know, originally.
Yeah.
But we had our first reunion back in 1972 in Minnesota at a cabin that this guy's family used to go to as a kid, you know. Excuse me. And since then we've had probably 15 at least reunions.
15, wow.
Maybe more.
What a close-knit bunch you guys
Yeah, well,
are.
we helped survive each other, you know. And we were brothers. We became brothers. You know, and a band of brothers, as one of our guys said.
And that was absolutely true, wasn't it? You
Honest
were
to
a band of brothers.
Yes. Well, like our Minnesota buddy, he just got diagnosed about 3 months ago with a terminal cancer. So we're on alert to go up there. We're going to go up there and see him while he's still healthy enough to be seen.
Yeah.
And to interact and to laugh. And you know, it's a maximum, I think, is a 6 months to the range of 6 months to 6 years diagnosis.
Yeah.
And he's getting treatment now, so he doesn't know, we don't know. So of course he said, all I have is now. And I thought, well, that's the Peace Corps experience too, because there we learned all we have is now. Every day was now, a new day.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it was a wonderful experience. I mean, just being around these other people, these other volunteers.
Yes.
And that the bonds lasted.
Yeah, even our director, our ag director, I saw him like a couple years before he died. He died maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. So we've kept in touch with even the far out people, you know, we try to stay in contact with. You know, people live far away or keep to themselves.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, now tell me about your assignment. You said it was an ag assignment.
Yes. It was, well, they call it chieftain development, so it's ag plus manual structures. Like one guy built a schoolhouse.
One guy, you mean one Peace Corps?
His assignment was at a village where the previous Peace Corps had gotten the funding to build a schoolhouse. And so that guy left then, and then his replacement, one of our guys, was tasked with building the school, having the school built, getting the locals to supply concrete, labor.
Wow, so organizing it.
Yeah, organizing it. He didn't.
Yeah, he didn't do it himself.
But he got it organized, you know, so. In Sierra Leone, you don't do anything too quickly.
No.
No, they say, like you're waiting on a lorry, that's the transportation, to go to a town or to another village. You ask somebody locally, say, you know, what time's the next lorry come? They say, sometime today or tomorrow. And we go, you know, at first you go, what? But then you go, after a year, half a year there, you go, well, okay. So you bring a book, you read on the side of the bench, you know, sit on a log, you know, wait for it.
And when it comes, it comes.
When it comes, it comes.
Yeah. Well, so, gosh.
So my assignment was rice production. The ag boss, our agriculture director, drove me to my village. And I didn't know where I was going. He said, you're going to Cambia. There hadn't been a volunteer there in several years. It's a sleepy, boring, non-innovative river town. You'll do fine there. Well, what? Thank you very much.
And what were you supposed to do with rice? In this
Well,
little
that's what I'm
town?
scratching my head, so I got to go back to training. So, training, the second phase of training was in McKinney, Sierra Leone. It sounds like it's a Scottish name, but it's spelled not that way at all. And so there was the rice training. It was going to be a 2-week intensive training in rice.
Did you know anything about rice production before then?
No.
Okay.
No. My grandfather was on one side was a cotton farmer. My grandfather on the other side was almost a sharecropper.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I knew how to grow vegetables. I watched my dad do it a little bit, but that's about it. So, unfortunately, on the way to our new training site, I got my first dose of malaria.
Ooh.
So, it really came over me pretty intensely.
Weren't you vaccinated for malaria?
No, there's no vaccine for it.
There still isn't?
Not that I know of.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Were you?
Well, I don't know, but I know that before we left to go in country, we got like 10 or 12 shots.
Yeah, yeah. But no, not for malaria.
Not for malaria, okay. So you
So
got
I
malaria.
got malaria, and I knew the drugs they were telling you to get all these drugs, different kinds of drugs. There's a kit that you got, a Peace Corps medical kit,
Uh-huh, yeah.
and it had what's called Aerolin in it.
Uh-huh.
You probably
Yep.
may have heard of it. Yeah. And so it did have directions on it. So I asked this one former Peace Corps administrator who was getting ready to leave the country. Excuse me, I saw him and I said, I think I got malaria. How often do I take these tablets?
Mm-hmm.
He said, as I recall, he said, take 2 every 4 hours. I go, okay, I could do that. But it didn't help at all. By day 2 or 3, I was getting worse.
Tell me how you felt at that time.
Well,
Were you exhausted? Oh.
well, it felt like there was an axe.
Go ahead.
Felt like there was an axe in the middle of my head.
Ooh.
Fever, chills, joint aches, body aches, sweats.
Oh my. And none of this is going away or
It's
subsiding?
not going away. What happened was as I found out, I was down for 11 days.
Gosh.
And I finally was in the middle of the night. The worst was I had dry heaves of just, I guess just bile by itself coming out. And I had exchanged some unpleasant words with our ag director who came in and accused me. He thought I was faking it.
He did? Why?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Did he
And
think you wanted to go home?
apparently he thought I was going out.
It's terrible.
And I exchanged some unpleasantries with him. And then the next day, he brought a Peace Corps nurse, I think, to boot me out. So he brought Nurse Ratchet, as it were. And she said, they both had stern, you were kicking your rear end out, looks upon him. And they said, she started interviewing me saying, so what did you take for it? I said, Aerolin. She says, how many did you get? How many did you take at a time? I said, 2. How often? I said, every 4 hours. How long did you do that? I said, up until maybe a day or 2 ago. She went, you didn't stop after 4 tablets or 6, whatever it was? I go, no. The guy said take 2 every 4 hours.
Yeah.
She stopped talking to me. She turned to the boss and said, you overdose. And you could almost see my boss's face fall.
Oh,
But anyway, she said,
wow.
she said I got to go get some medicine, a multivitamin shot. It sounded like a multivitamin shot.
Mm-hmm.
And she came back, gave me the shot, and said, okay, he needs to walk, he needs to eat, drink a lot of liquids. So Pete, our boss, got a couple other guys, said, okay, you guys take him and do this. Walk him, do this, make sure he eats, da, da, da. get the hell out. And so anyway, a couple of guys took me walking, 2 or 3 of them. It was so miserable. Oh, it was so difficult to walk. But I did it. They were real hard on me too, so it made me keep going. And the next morning, it's like a miracle. I woke up, I had an appetite, I ate like a horse.
Wow.
But unfortunately, there was only like 2 or 3 days of training left, and I missed the most critical part of growing rice.
Oh.
I just didn't know how to do it.
You mean you were there to help with rice production and you weren't even learning about it until toward the very end of training?
At the end of training was a 2-week intensive on rice production.
Oh, okay.
It was the Chinese were the instructors. This is Chinese from Taiwan. They were the Chinese who were in the country at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a big agricultural facility growing rice. Excuse me. About 20 miles from where I was assigned. So I buddied up with them. I got to meet them, and they taught me all this stuff. But anyway, during training, at that time there was what's called the miracle rice.
Yes.
Yeah, 3-month rice. Traditional. Sierra Leone was totally the main food source was rice.
Mm-hmm.
And they had been that way. So I think the British introduced it to them. I don't believe it's native. And so a couple hundred years they've been rice. They loved the rice, but their rice took 6 to 7 months to grow. And it was all grown on the side of hills. They called it upland rice.
Mm-hmm.
And it involved cutting all your vegetation down, then burning it all.
Mm-hmm.
And then sowing the seed out there, and then waiting for the rains to come, because Sierra Leone is tropical forest. They got, I believe it was 100, at least 120 inches of rain in essentially a 6-month period.
Wow.
And then 6 months was dry season, nothing but dry.
Uh-huh.
No rain, 100 tons of hell, humid because of all the water.
Oh.
Anyway, so I missed that, but fortunately the Chinese were there, and so they said, they had me just distribute the miracle rice. They call it miracle rice. My job was to go and knock on doors in small villages, encourage them to learn how to do this 3-month rice thing. I called the Chinese were the backup, who I knew enough about rice, though. I mean, I learned enough to get them going. I just didn't know the fine details on how to survey, how to flood the irrigation, you know.
Yeah.
And why you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Boy. Anyways, I'm filling up a lot of holes. And so I learned locally, and I recruited local farmers, out in a small village, maybe a 30-person village, but they farm maybe sweet. Oh, the area that this 3-month rice does so well is where Sierra Leone is so rich in, and that's swamp valleys. So swamp valleys have topsoil that washes off from the hills, so it's at least 6 foot deep. In some occasions, 4 feet, 3 feet, but it's all topsoil. And it's just right, made for this miracle rice. But it's a new way of doing it. They never went to grow rice in the swamps, the natives. They grew rice on the side of the hills.
Yeah, right.
And so anyway, we got to introduce them to this. And I had enough Chinese backing support to help me through what I didn't know.
And for credibility too, I guess.
Oh,
right?
yeah, for credibility.
Yeah.
Plus, I was fluent enough in Creole, I was able to talk to them and say, because you had to transplant it.
Uh-huh.
So one of my finer phrases was that I told them, well, you know, when you take a small child, you had to say, this is why you have to do, what you do, you transplant the rice when it's little, when it's small. Because like if you take a child and you go to take that child elsewhere, you don't take him when he's like a big child, like this tall. You take him when he's small.
Yeah.
So that way he can learn easy. And so the Creole I used was, until you get Pekin, small Pekin them, and you go take him for training elsewhere, no? You decided that, yeah? So you don't take the small Peking when it's Peking big one, big fashion. You take the small Peking when it's small fashion, small, and they're going, yeah, and go, yes. So it worked, you know.
So you were communicating with
Yeah,
them.
so I was able to convince a couple, 2, 3, or 4 villages to adopt this and try it, and they did. And I've heard afterwards that it became very successful in the country. All of our efforts, you know. At least that's what I heard, you know. So, but also there's also poultry, water wells, vegetable gardens, and just, you know, encouragement and also some training.
But you're talking about things on into your assignment, right?
Into my assignment, yeah. So I had chicken demonstration plot for that, vegetables. I did install a water well.
But where you left me,
Okay.
sort of, was you had malaria, and there were only a few days left in training. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you were afraid that this boss of yours, this ag guy, was going to kick you out.
Well,
That's what it sounded like.
after I exchanged words with him, yeah, I thought, well, my goose is cooked. But I didn't care because I was in such pain and misery. I mean, it's 11 days of near death. It's close I've come to death in my life. They don't call Sierra Leone the white man's graveyard for nothing, you know.
Oh, boy. Was that crossing your mind at this time? Or did you know that?
Well, yeah, I knew about it, but, you know, I was just trying to survive, be able to stay alive.
And you think that the nurse really helped you?
Oh, totally. I mean, he brought Nurse Ratchet, but she changed and saw that the previous associate administrator gave me the incorrect dosage instructions, causing this overdose of malaria medicine.
And so right away that showed that ag boss that
I wasn't taking it.
That the bad feelings he had about you were gone.
Well, he had to deal with it, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
so,
he was wrong.
I never said it to him, and nobody would to this guy, but...
Yeah. But if it hadn't been for that nurse, you would have been gone, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I may not have been here.
Huh?
I may not have been here.
Oh.
Because she got a,
You think you might have died?
or got seriously some disability or something, you know.
Yeah.
She went and got I thought she said it was a vitamin B mixture cocktail that she did. She injected me. And then had the guys walk me and had me drink a lot of fluids and and I slept wonderfully for the first time that night. Woke up refreshed. I thought, oh, thank God. So there's about a week left of training. So I thought, that's a second case of angst, I guess. I wonder if the boss is going to boot me out or what. But anyway, he took me to Cambia and said, this is your place. Good luck. I'll see you sometime.
The boss said that to you?
Well, he said good luck to everybody, but he was in charge of the entire country. So he had maybe, I forgot how many, about 40 or 50, 30, 40 or 50 volunteers that he had to go and be present with and oversee their activity.
Have you ever given any thought in the years since to trying to contact that boss?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that like? Why did you do it, and what was it like?
Well, I mean, when he left, he had a going away party for himself.
Of course.
and he supplied the small village. He went to a little tiny village that was renowned. Our one buddy was assigned there as a poultry guy. He's from the Bronx. He didn't know poultry, but the project existed before he came there. But so he knew how to make it continue. And he organized the local villages who knew how to raise chickens. And they laid eggs and made profit out. Anyway, the boss said, we're going to go to Bumbuna, which is the only village in Sierra Leone that we knew of that had a waterfall. Its own, I mean, it wasn't a waterfall, it was like 30 feet up. The roaring Rokupa River was gushing through it, roaring. And our buddy, this was his assignment, was to be at this river. Oh my God.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
So we had like a 3-day goodbye party for Pete, and we did a farewell bonding, you might say. And so I knew, you know, he would be welcome. He would welcome me, and I'd welcome him in the future. I just didn't have the opportunity to see him until a friend of mine from Norman was originally from New York City, and his dad was in the FBI agency, just like Barb's dad. And he had a summer home on Lake Champlain in Vermont. And this was like, so my buddy retired from working here. He was a policeman, and then worked for GM. And he retired on Lake Champlain bought his own little house there.
Nice.
And he was like 40 miles from our boss, where our boss lived. So I went there. One time I went to visit my buddy, my Norman buddy. I said, you know, I told him about my Peace Corps buddies not far away. And so I made a trip down to see him, and we had a wonderful bang up time.
You and this boss?
Yeah, talking of old times and all that. And
well, when I asked the question, I was thinking, you might have wanted to take the opportunity to set that guy straight.
to check his what?
Set him straight. That he was totally wrong about you. And he was not only wrong, but he was kind of a malevolent person. That's what it sounded like.
You know, it's true. You know, you can see that. You definitely see that. Definitely want to, have a knee-jerk reaction to do something like definitely. But I tell you, man, we were all there in the country. We all helped each other survive. And even Pete, before he left, he caught me. We went to in the Freetown, the capital city. He said, "Let's go to Omar Khayyam's, which is a high-end bar." And we had a drink, and he was just sitting there telling me about his family and what he's going to do back in the States and all that stuff. And we just had a wonderful, regular time together.
Wonderful, wonderful.
You know?
Yeah.
So
you didn't need to...
there's a lot of giving the benefit of the doubt to people there, which I still can use today, to... well, he did the best he could, or, they did the best, I'd have done the same thing, or,
Yeah.
it just, we had a bond.
And you forgave him for what he did.
I don't know, I forgave him. I might have done the same thing in his shoes. I might have.
Really?
I might have. I might have thought, well, this gold brick is just a SOB, and I don't like him at all anyway, and... I mean, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? That's true.
I mean, it's just one of those things. Anyway, so I had a real handicap, is the word, with rice. But fortunately, I got along great with those Chinese people who were agronomists. They were expert agronomists.
Yeah. And
my local district agricultural director for the whole district, he took me under his wing too. In fact, he recruited me to teach his wife how to drive a car.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Well, it wasn't great. It wasn't great for the car. Talk about grinding gears. And I said, oh, no.
She wasn't too good, huh?
It lost a lot in translation. And we're so, you haven't asked this, but I want to mention that we were so fortunate at that time. I'm sure you two, those in the 60s and 70s who went there, because westernization was coming. We could see it way off and far, and it's coming. We were part of it.
Yeah.
And we were able to remarkably have our foot in both, one foot in the old bush country,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, native original Africa, and one foot in the Western world, which is coming over them. And now it's even a third foot I don't have, and that's the digital world that is there in Sierra Leone. And my God, that country has changed so much. It went down the toilet with the Civil War for about 10 years, but it's coming back. And people there are innovative, and they're taken to the digital world, and they still have significant problems, but still there's hope as well. And by the way, I am such a proponent of rice that I wish those people, you know, the people who wanted, the young people who wanted to be something, they wanted to be James Bond. Can you believe that?
Mm-hmm.
Because of his flashiness and his way with women, and his cigarette lighting, and his
Fast car.
Yeah, fast car.
Yeah.
And so, but there's no money in that, and so they went to the capital city and just became lost and without money, and impoverished and sad and drug addicts and so on. Because if they had gone to the rice in the 3-month rice, the plants, they go to the swamp rice and use the 3-month rice, they would be so wealthy. There's rice sells a lot of money, and these guys, they could have they'd have the money to go to the capital city and swagger and look like James Bond if they wanted to.
Uh-huh.
But
they didn't.
no, they were, you know, Hollywood or the Italian films were big there.
But how could people in a little place like Cambia, how would you even know about James Bond there?
Oh, because you go to the bigger cities and you see the movie house. You go to the Indian movie house, and they showed a lot of what's called spaghetti westerns, you know.
Yeah.
And some James Bond too.
So even though they were small and isolated, they still had access.
Oh yeah, we had a telephone in the city.
You did?
Yeah, it was at the post office.
Huh.
If you wanted, I think I made one call. Probably to my parents during the 2 years I was there.
I was going to ask that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you had to go make a reservation, like talk to the postmaster and reserve a time for 30 minutes or 20 minutes. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
Or 10 minutes on next Wednesday, the 19th of June. I go, okay, I'll be there, yes.
Yeah.
And you go, hello, hello, hello. How are you? I'm well, I'm well, I'm well. You know, it's like talking in a tin can.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
so we had a post office there, had electricity maybe 4 hours a day. Had a post
Where
office.
you live,
Where
you
I
had
live.
electricity.
There's a Sierra Leonean who's an electrical engineer by education.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people went to England to get professional education and come back. And you meet some remarkable people. Anyway, I guess the British, or because the Paramount Chief was there, they put in electric generators maybe 10 years before, 20,
Uh-huh.
but it was unreliable. So you didn't know how long you'd have electric.
Did you have sanitary toilets?
Yes, they were very sanitary. They were dry if you hit the right spot. No, they were outhouses.
Outhouses.
So we shared outhouses we had like 2 ladies, Peace Corps people there, and 4 or 5 guys, Peace Corps guys there. So the ladies, of course, would be irritated every now and then at the guys who were not careful about what they're doing their business.
Uh-huh.
And so there were a few dressing downs that went on about that, you know, or complaints, you might say. So, you know, it's probably a constant thing they had to do. But, you know, you had almost constant diarrhea there too, so. The guys in Sierra Leone were all told that they'd lose weight, maybe 30 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
The women gained that 30 pounds.
Yeah. Same in the Philippines.
Okay, same thing, yeah. So I was skinny as I'd ever been, you know.
Uh-huh.
And anyway, yeah. So we had electric. We wrote airmail. You know, the blue airmail letters. I don't know if you had those.
Yes.
And so those were like 10 cents or so.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'd write a letter on them. It folded up, you know how long it was. Folded up, send a letter. It'd take 2 weeks to get home. If my mom or his brother would write back immediately, take 2 weeks to get back.
Yeah. And that was it.
So it was a month turnaround, yes.
Yeah.
So
And you made one phone call that you can remember during the 2 years.
in Sierra Leone, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So I remember once how isolated I was, even though I was in a village of 400, village of 3,000. I was out in a small village. I was measuring swamp. So I had to measure the swamps because the government had a program of paying the local villagers, that's another program I was in, to create a agricultural swampland for rice,
Mm-hmm.
for this 3-month rice. So
It already was a swampland, wasn't it?
it was, but you had to measure it
Oh, and
for
yeah.
reimbursement. If they
Yeah.
built dikes, made a paddy, rice paddy.
Oh, okay.
So I'm measuring, I'm wading in topsoil up to my knees, and then it's up to here, then it's up to here, and then I hear a strange sound, a sound that I used to know. And I don't know where it's coming from, but I look up and I see a 707 with a Boeing jet about 7 miles up with a contrail going by. I just watched it for maybe 5 minutes. So I felt like a lonesome coyote out in the desert, just watching it go, wow, I remember that.
I know what that is.
Yeah, oh, it's really funny. And you met interesting people there. One night I met the local bar, Conco's Bar. Conco. Conco had biceps like this big, but he was renowned to need help with his mathematics, on how much beer you owed, but I think he's very shrewd too.
So he was the bartender?
Yeah, he owned the local bar.
Mm.
And so we're at Conco's Bar, music's playing, we're having a beer with Saeed and 1 or 2 other locals. And he comes back in, and me and my roommate George are there. He says, hey, you boys, he comes back in to me and George. He says, hey, you boys, you want to go meet Stokely Carmichael? We look at each other and go,
Stokely Carmichael?
Stokely Carmichael. I said, is that a guy's nickname? What? I said, Stokely Carmichael. Yeah, man, he's out here. He's out here, he's trying to go to Guinea. I go, sure, we'll go meet him. So we walked out there, and as honest to God, it is Stokely Carmichael.
It was him. Wow.
It was him. Yeah, he had married. He was on the run for the law and living in communist Guinea, which is 6 miles away from where I'm living, my town. There's a ferry that goes across the river. They couldn't find the ferryman to take his car. It was at night, 10 o'clock at night. They couldn't find the ferryman. They sent him to find him to wake him up. Meanwhile, Stokely Carmichael's cooling his heels and outside sitting in a Mercedes Benz. Because if you got any money at all in the country, you drive a Mercedes Benz. So he had married Miriam Makeba, a South African freedom singer, very, very popular amongst anti-apartheid groups, and she had a beautiful voice too. So she had given a concert in Freetown, the capital city. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm hurt. And the money she had received from this concert, somebody stole it.
Oh.
So Stokely Carmichael drove all the way from Conakry, Guinea, through Sierra Leone, down to Freetown to go and find that money. Now, how's a guy going to find money if somebody steals it? I don't know, but it's an African way. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. So anyway, he went to Freetown. I guess he did what he could do, and he's going back to Conakry, Guinea, where he lives. And so anyway, we go out there, and I go out there and I go, Hi, how are you? You're Stokely Carmichael, right? He goes, yeah. He's aloof. I said, well, sorry to stare at you. Me and George is looking at him. Sorry to stare at you, but we don't get a lot of celebrities around here, you know. He kind of nods and goes, okay. Said, you hungry? You want to come in for a sandwich or a beer or something? Water? No, I'm fine, thank you. I said, well, have a good night, man. Hope you make it across okay. So
That was it?
that was it.
Oh.
My roommate years later saw him in the States and somewhere maybe in Florida. I guess he had been let go by the authorities, the police or whatever, and he was giving talks on campus.
Uh-huh.
So my buddy George went up to him after the speech and said, hey, I met you in Sierra Leone, West Africa. You were stranded, you're trying to cross the river into Guinea. Do you remember that night? He says, yes, I do. He said, well, they laughed and departed. But anyway.
Oh,
And then I went
interesting.
across the river one day. I know you didn't ask this, but very interesting. I went across the river one day to a different rice chiefdom.
Mm-hmm.
These people, the people I were around were the Timni people. The Susu lived across the river. I lived on the Great Scarces River, also called the Colintin River. And in flood time it became a mile wide. There's snakes and alligators and stuff.
Ooh.
Supposedly not where I was, but upriver. Anyway, I went over there to the Susu land to meet the paramount chief. Now there you had to meet the paramount chief.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to enroll him in this swampland project because they grow a lot of rice there too.
Yeah.
And he's a big man, he's an important man. So I go to his place and it's this big colonial mansion made of wood. It was very unusual.
Huh.
And so this is the paramount chief's house and it's gray. The wood is all faded gray. And the house had been there 100 years.
Wow.
So I knock on his door, Kong Kong, I introduce myself, and his wife, they're Muslim, so they could have polygamy there. So he had like 5 wives. The big wife, the wife in charge, came out to meet me. And she says in English, not Creole, but in English, she says, the chief has gone, he'll be back in an hour. He told me to entertain you and talk to you for a while.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So she tells some people to bring me some biscuits or something, and tea or something, yeah, hot tea to drink
Yeah.
with milk and sugar, honey or something. I go, well, thank you. I said, Mrs., I said, you address all prominent ladies as, you don't know their name.
Mrs.
As Mrs.
Yeah.
I said, Mrs., maybe I knew her name. Mrs., I must say, I am so curious and overwhelmed. How did you learn to speak such proper, excellent English?
Mm-hmm.
She said, well, my father was maybe a paramount chief or a diplomat. I said, really?
Hmm.
Yes, and so this is 1970 or so. She is in her 60s, she told me. So she must have been born somewhere around 1905, 1915, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So she had been, well, her father went to England as a diplomat, as an ambassador, as a chief, I'm not sure why. She was there as a child and stayed there, was raised there for, it sounded like 5 to 10 years.
Hmm.
She spoke perfect English. Oh my God, I was so, wow. And she was she's educated, so educated all the way beyond high school maybe, or up to high school. And she was so intelligent, so smart. Her stories were, I was delighted for an hour or so waiting for the big chief to come. And it was just, I was just stunned. You're out in the boonies, you're out in nowhere, out in the back country.
It's like a miracle.
It's a miracle to see. It's amazing. So her husband initially came and saw him. Another time I was out in another village, way, way, way far away. And they're burning upland grass, and the elephant grass, they call it elephant grass, like 10 foot tall. And I'm going through a small little road that's not as wide as my room here, smaller, and there's fire leaping up 10, 15 feet on either side.
Oh.
I have no choice but to gun it and hope that it quits soon. And I make it through there. And I go to this village, and I'm talking to these people. A small, rural, way, way bush village. And I talk to them about the rice and so on. And I look and they say, well, you talk to this man in here. This man comes out, I guess he's the big man or the speaker, the village speaker perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Because each village had a speaker, a chief, director. You know, they had an administrative staff, really. And the guy comes out of this mud, this house with mud. They weave, you know, wood around, and woven wood, and they pack it with mud, and it's nice, it's cool. Sierra Leone's hot.
Yeah.
He comes out of his hut, his house, and the door is open, it's always open. And I look inside, and I see a TV.
Ooh. First you've seen, I guess.
A TV, we're like 12, 15 hours, 12, 14 hours away from the capital city. There's no TV station anywhere near here.
Yeah.
But yet he's got the trappings of, you know, westernization. He has no idea what to do with it. It doesn't work. But he's got that, and so he's a big man. He's an influential man. You know? He's got this Western TV. And so, anyways, a little comment I remember, you know, back then.
Huh?
It was just a little.
Oh yeah.
A little, what do you call it? Snippet of.
Anecdote.
Yeah, anecdote.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's a good one. That's really a good one.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I almost left the Peace Corps. First 6 months, I was just, after my villagers just went,
Now, wait a minute. You almost left because you had malaria.
No, I did not leave because I had malaria. I was going to be lefted because I had malaria. I was going to be lefted because they thought I was faking malaria.
Right.
But I made it through that. Pete took me to my village, and I was there. It was really good, honeymoon time, you know. But then after about a month, 6 weeks, 2 months, I just started getting depressed. Just going downhill.
Let me ask this, before you talk about your depression, were you continuing to interact with the locals
I was
around
trying.
there
I was trying the best I could. Yeah, I was doing the best I could.
And were you frustrated in what you were attempting to do?
I felt ignorant and didn't know. I missed out on the rice thing, and I just wasn't connecting with the folks there as I wanted to. I just felt. And then,
now you must have talked to your fellow Americans, your PC.
I didn't tell them about I didn't tell them about what was going on in me.
You didn't?
No.
Why not?
Macho. And you know, I didn't want to admit it. I mean, it'd be a shameful thing for me.
Yeah.
And it'd be something I just would have hated to have done. But around January, or the first January, February, I just made a vow to myself. I said, if it's not better by June, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting the hell out.
Okay, how long had you been there? You got there in June?
I got there in, I think, August, September.
August, okay. And then this is January we're
January.
talking about. So just a few months later.
Yeah.
And you're bottoming out.
I bottomed it out. And I said, okay, I'm giving myself to June. If it doesn't work by June, I'm gone.
And you didn't tell anybody about this?
No. It's just my own private.
Your own private hell.
Well, my own private vow that I was going to do. So.
Okay.
It didn't get any better. It's the middle of dry season too. It's 6 months of just hotter than hubs of hell. I don't know how hot it got because we didn't have a thermometer.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
But it was very unpleasantly hot.
Hot and humid.
Yeah.
When you walk outside, it just sucks it out of you.
Uh-huh.
You go, oh, okay. So yeah, I've lost probably 20 pounds. I'm weighing probably about 160, 170. Near normal, healthy I'd be 190, 200, 210 now.
So when you got there, you weighed 160?
No, no. Oh, when I got to my village, I was probably weighing 170.
Okay, and then after, in January,
Yeah, by then that's probably I'm weighing about 170 still.
oh, still about 170?
Yeah, probably.
So you
180, 180, maybe, I don't know.
You still weren't losing weight then?
Well, yeah, I probably was.
A little bit?
Yeah. I mean, it just, you know, if you lost weight in the Philippines, it's a never-ending story.
I lost 35.
You lost 35 pounds?
Yeah. And then it leveled off. But anyway.
Yeah, I leveled off too. I want to say around 170, probably there.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so that's January. I made this during dry season. I made this vow to myself. I kept on plugging along, and then our boss Pete called us for a Peace Corps meeting of the Northern CDs. That's what we were called. Our group of about 10 of us.
Does that mean community development?
Yeah, no, chieftain development.
Oh, chieftainville. Okay.
Yeah, we were calling ourselves the Northern CDs, and we were proud of ourselves. We pride ourselves in our macho, get it done, falls to the walls, attitude toward life, work hard, sweat hard, and play hard.
Mm-hmm.
And we had motorcycles, so that set us apart.
Oh, you had motorcycles too?
We had motorcycles. We had a Honda. We had a big motorcycle. I mean, it was a big Honda 65. Wow. It was like a but you know, the teachers didn't have it. You know, nobody had it. So we were very fortunate, lucky to have it.
Why did you have motorcycles?
Well, because we had a lot of, we had to go to the boonies.
Yeah.
We had to go bush country was 5, 10, 15, 20 miles away. And, you know, there's no transportation to some of these places.
Yeah.
And I'm driving through like footpaths on it. And raising my foot up to avoid a Gabon viper. It's also called a 3-step because that's all you get is 3 steps and then
They'll kill you, right?
dead.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, there's all kinds of stuff you could die from. One of the girls and I were walking from her house to my house at night on the footpath that goes down and up over to the other Peace Corps house. Fortunately, she had a light, a lantern. We're talking, she's walking and shining about 10 feet in front of us is a fully hooded, erect, spitting cobra. Wavered back and forth. I think I screamed louder than she did. I was more of a girl than she was. We both screamed, ah! And ran the opposite way. The villagers heard us screaming. They came out. We told them what it was. They called the word for snake and Timney is obok. Obok. They go, obok, obok! They came out there. All of a sudden, there's like 15 or 20 people, flashlights and machetes looking to kill this sucker. And the only conclusion they had is, well, it must have gone into our latrine and gone down the hole, which is about a 10-foot drop. So thereafter, we always had a flashlight to check.
I bet so.
Plus, another thing you did was you got an old newspaper, which you used for toilet paper, and you got a match and you lit it, and you dropped it in the hole of the latrine, and that way the 2-inch long roaches that were there with their 2-inch long antennas would leave you alone so you could get in there and get do your business and get home. Get out quick. So let's see.
But you were talking about your depression.
Yeah. So I was bummed out.
And how long did that last?
Well, it lasted until I think our boss called us to about 100 miles away from me to McKinney, where we did training, for a meeting of the 10 of us, because we're split off all over the northern part of the country. And we're just getting together, and really it was just kind of a check-in on how you doing, what's going on, and what's interesting around here. Let's do some stuff, you know. And so...
So you were getting into it?
Yeah, I was getting into it, but still, it was good to see everybody, but still, I just didn't feel right.
And you didn't tell anybody there either?
No, no. So, I'm a Northern CD. Of course I'm not going to tell anybody.
Yeah, you're not, you're
Macho.
kicking ass, you're not depressed.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm looking to go, trying to catch a lorry, which is a pickup truck with a tarp on the back.
Yeah.
So people, carries about, it's made to carry maybe 6, 8 people. It carries about 15 to 20. You know, they're hanging off the left and right. Yeah. So I'm going down to the lorry park to go back to Cambia after our meeting. And there's no lorries. And I go, dang. So I say, I go, oh, Abdul, hello, Abdul, Couché, how you do? And it's a brother of my best friend in Sierra Leone in Cambia, Saeed. It's Saeed's brother.
Mm-hmm.
Abdul is a lorry driver. Lorry drivers are the cowboys of Sierra Leone. They bluff. They put on airs. They put on fine clothes. I'm wearing and a big belt buckle, and newly creased jeans. They try to find jeans or the latest style Sierra Leone tie-dye. Anyway, they're the most fashionable guy. They got money. Because people pay them money.
Pay them, yeah.
They don't own the lorry maybe, they only drive it, but they got money.
Yeah.
And so they're a high status person. So I see Abdul, I said, Abdul, well, you to go Freetown? You to go Cambia? He goes, well, himself, he said, he's going halfway, he's going to Port Loco. I go, okay, man, let me go. So I go back, I give him the money. And he's got a small Peugeot lorry. And in Sierra Leone, there's no paved road. I think there's one paved road outside of Freetown.
In the whole country?
The whole country.
Wow.
Maybe there's one. Oh, no, there's only one the Germans built in the south part of the country. So our roads are all, dirt roads, but there's what's called laterite. All the rain, 100, 200 inches of rain a year, it washes all the topsoil away, and you're left with nothing but what's underneath this topsoil, which is clay, pebbles, laterite soil, I think they call it. And what happens is, once a season, toward the beginning of dry season, around August or September, they have a grader. The county has one grader, a road grader.
Yeah.
And it comes and it smooths the road. And that lasts about 1 week. And then the dry season, you're driving through this dry road, and it's like a storm, a horizontal tornado of dust. It's dry, it's dust, it's a laterite road, and the traffic is a lot of traffic, believe it or not. Maybe 20, 40 cars a day, that's a lot. They create this, what's the washing, what do you call that washing thing that you wash clothes with?
Wash tub?
Wash.
Not a tub, but a...
Washboard.
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 Yeah.
So it's got all these, galvanized ribs in there.
Yeah.
Well, the road, that's how the road is, it's a washboard.
Oh,
on both lanes. And by the way, they're driving on the left-hand side of the road. This is English former colony.
Right.
And also, I got to say, my village had an airstrip, but they had only been used one time, and that's when Queen Elizabeth I, Queen Elizabeth had just died, landed there in 1961 for Independence Day in a Piper Cub.
Oh.
So anyway, I had to throw that in. So anyway, I'm with Abdul. I'm going back to my town, Cambia. I'm bummed out. It's getting closer and closer. I don't know what month it is. Maybe it's April, maybe May. Getting close to my date to pull the plug. And Abdul's driving back his Toyota, and it's on this laterite road, and he's going like 60 to 70 miles an hour. And there's a tornado coming behind us of dust and swirling, and you're getting beat to heck. Unfortunately, there's only like one other person in the back of the lorry, me and this other lady, I think. and we're holding on, and all of a sudden, I think he switched over to the right-hand side while I was there. Yeah, the country switched over to right-hand drive. Anyway, he's on the right-hand side, going 60, 70 miles an hour down this road. Dust, hotter than hubs of hell outside, and he does a severe turn of the car, the lorry. He goes, throws us in the back over the side, back. And then he turns and sticks his head out the back. He's laughing. He's laughing. I look at him. He's not looking at me. He's looking at something else. I look back, and there's a snake in the middle of the road. It's about 10 foot long, and it's curled up, and it's writhing and everything. He went out of his way, the driver, Abdul, the driver, to run out of his way, almost kill us, to run over this snake and come swerve back in. And it all flooded all over me. At that moment, Abdul saved my life. I realized, Sierra Leone, this country, it's not Oklahoma. This country is upside down. It's upside down, and I've been here, I've been fighting, bringing my head, I've been trying to see it as Oklahoma, as America. It ain't. It's not and from then on, I was home. I was flying like a bird in the sky.
God.
Abdul saved my life. And I was just marveled at the rest of my time there. It was just so friggin' wonderful.
So the depression was gone?
Gone.
Just like that?
Just like that. Vanished.
Did you realize it as soon as you came to your senses?
As soon as it was overwhelming me, I understood. It all came, all that knowledge came at once.
Oh, wow.
I go, and later on, it took me a while to realize that I've been trying to make it Oklahoma. I've been trying to make it America. Well, why are these kids here in devil outfits on Christmas Eve wanting me to give them money? They should be giving me a present. I mean, the American thinking, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize how ingrained it was.
So that changed everything. That
Changed
turned
everything. Changed
around.
everything.
And that enabled you to better do your assignment?
It enabled me to live each day fully. It honestly did. And that's fully is greeting my neighbors, recruiting somebody to try this method of rice growing, to talking to a teacher, to talking to a lorry boy, to talking to a paramount chief, to talking to everything I did. The food, eating the food was...
Do you think of yourself as, before this, you'd been sort of a failure, and now...
Yeah. It's like,
now
I'm home.
you didn't think of yourself as a success, though. You just thought of yourself as somebody who was happy.
Afterwards?
Yes, afterwards.
Oh, I was so totally successful.
Huh?
I was totally successful.
Oh.
In my own report card.
Everything was better.
Everything was better. It's marvelous.
So, with that...
I was a Northern CD for sure.
Yeah.
My gosh, look out, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm very...
And that really facilitated the whole rest of your stay.
It overwhelmed me. It totally, I was cocooned in it for the rest of my stay.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've never heard anything like that
really?
before. No.
It was overwhelming.
Huh. Did you tell anybody about that?
Oh hell yes! Oh hell yes! I've told all my buddies about it.
That it was the
yes.
ride in the lorry and what happened that actually brought all this about? Did any of them look at you and say, "Oh, come on"?
No. Everybody understood and believed. You go, yeah, wow. They go, right. Fucking right.
So how much time left did you have at that point?
A little over a year.
Little over a year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's a good amount of time.
Yeah.
To be on a high like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was wired, plugged in. And you know, it wasn't everything, it wasn't a piece of cake, don't get me wrong, but
no.
I was grounded in where I was.
You knew you were somebody who was going to enjoy the rest of your time, and you were going to profit from it.
Man,
Yes.
I was who I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm. Now let me ask at this point, did you have the interest and did you have the, did you have the interest of maybe trying to date a woman there?
Is there Leone? Is there Leone?
Yes.
Well, you know, I did not in my village because I was really, they hammered it in on training. Do not leave children behind here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you watch what you're doing, you're a Peace Corps representative, it's a privilege to be here. You're visible to everybody here. What you do does matter for the people who come after you too.
Yeah.
So I was very polite, and
Even if you saw one and you thought, oh, I'd like to get to know her better, you would.
I left that to local folks.
Okay. All right.
I can't say that every guy did that.
No.
In fact, I knew one guy. In fact, my buddy Art, who's up living on Lake Champlain, I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
He lived 2 houses down from a guy who was in Sierra Leone at the same time I was in.
Oh.
But I didn't know him.
Huh.
He was a teacher. And in fact, this Peace Corps boss, who's living in Vermont too, is the one who recruited my buddy's neighbor in Vermont on Lake Champlain to go join the Peace Corps.
Yeah.
It's crazy, all these
Yeah, all these coincidences.
yeah, coincidences.
So you feel like you were really able to accomplish some things in
I thought I
that
did.
second year.
Yeah, I thought I did well.
You did well, and you got good reports, I assume,
They
from,
kept me.
yeah.
Yeah, I got a letter from the replacement agricultural director.
Yeah.
He and I got along so famously. But unfortunately, I'd already signed my papers to go back to the States, you know. But anyway, the second guy, Keith, he wrote me a letter and says, well, your replacement, Jerry, he's okay, but he doesn't get along with the people as well as you did.
Oh, gosh, that's tough for him.
That's too bad. But he may be going through what I was going through earlier on, too. Or he maybe just didn't do it, you know.
What would you say, if you thought about this, and I assume you have, what would you say were your major accomplishments, the things that you were most proud of for having done when you were there?
Wow. Probably having lived there and met the people I met and was present to them. As far as things to have done,
Yeah.
you know, I hope I did some good with the rice, because I did.
You sold the idea to people,
Yeah,
right?
and you know, and I transported lots of rice to farmers to try it, you know.
Yeah.
At least give it a shot, you know.
And did you ever see the results of
No,
any
I
of
never
this?
did. No, I saw partial results coming in because the rhythm of it. It starts in about May, the rain,
Yeah.
and it doesn't harvest. Well, I guess if you started, so I could get somebody started in May, so I saw some of that into June. But the harvest, if somebody planted in June, it would be September before they'd harvest. And I saw some that were grown tall, but some, one in particular, the guy had built a bunding method, but he hadn't planted yet. So I left in August, so I wasn't able to see any of that. But yeah, probably chickens I did, demonstration, water well.
What do you mean, chickens?
I raised chickens for eggs
Oh,
as a demonstration, but you know, it would have.
and if they had chickens, they could get eggs and then they could sell the eggs.
That's the idea, but
Yeah.
you know, you had to order. It takes money because you had to order the chicks from England,
Oh, wow.
through one place in the capital city, ordered them, and I think it came in once a month. So they're in the country. Some people that had established, there are many people that's taken stabs at trying to get locals to know how to go raise chickens, to buy the feed, expensive, and to isolate them, to make sure no wild critters got them, killed them. So it's mixed results.
But it's a source of income for the local people. Source of income, right? That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And some people did adopt that.
Oh, well, throughout the country, yeah, not necessarily in Canby. I don't know.
That
Canby.
you talked to. That you talked to.
Well, that I talked to.
Yeah.
I don't know. A couple of traders maybe who had money, but they weren't the people. They weren't the targets.
No, they weren't.
They weren't the targets. No.
Okay. What else?
Probably the rice would be my biggest contribution.
Okay.
Did a water well for happened to be the village of the president of the country. Conveniently, convenient for me.
Uh-huh.
And so anyway, they had a big celebration, brought in a couple of truckloads of rice, had people from Radio Sierra Leone there. This is a big event for him. He was publicizing it and everything. His village had a new water well put in. So I had another Peace Corps buddy visited me at the time. I said, hey John, you want to go to, I got this little thing in this village up there about 50 miles away. You want to go there? It's a big feast. He goes, sure. So we go there, and a couple of guys, we were sitting around drinking their amole, which is palm wine. Wine is tapped from a tree. You know that?
Yeah.
Okay. So palm wine, we're drinking that with two people from Radio Sierra Leone. And we are just regaling them with all our adventures and our stories and all that. And they both look at us and say, I cannot believe you speak Creole so excellently. And John, I looked at you and said, yes. And so anyway, the next day, the president is meeting the big people who show up there, greeting them, and sends word that he wants to meet the Peace Corps and put in the water well. So I go, well, okay. I said, John, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
So we stood in line and met the president.
Wow.
Shook his hand, he shakes it. Well, you do a very good job here, or something like that. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And walked on,
Wow. You have any pictures of that? Did anybody take a picture?
I think there's one. I had one picture one day somewhere, but I don't know where it is.
Of that meeting the president? No, that's what I mean.
It was a picture of me when I was
when you were shaking?
Oh, no, not at all.
Oh, okay.
No.
So you were going to say a picture of what?
Oh, when we were doing the survey of what villages would be a good place to put a water well.
Yeah.
Because there was a civil engineer Peace Corps guy. Eric Frazier was his name. And he went with me on a survey of towns in my village, my district, Cambia district. So we went on like a 2-day trek. And on this, so somebody took a picture of me and I was out in my element, GI hat, floppy hat.
Oh, yeah.
Wearing a Gara cloth, out in the swamp, writing stuff down. It looked like I was working, But on this survey time, I know you didn't ask, but on this survey, I went with Eric Frazier and maybe in a Land Rover, maybe there's 6 of us. And we were sitting around the fire afterwards talking to the local villagers and ourselves. And I got a beer bottle. They put the palm wine into an old beer bottle. And that's what they give you to drink at night. Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. There were 2 events. I'm going to tell you 2 separate events. So we're drinking around palm wine. Maybe it's the same event. I'll pretend it's the same event with my memory. And I say, well, I know how to blow on a beer bottle to make a sound. Blowing a make a whistle. And I think it's great fun. I found a tune. The villagers are looking at me with big eyes and their faces horrified. I go, oh, they like how I do this. Boom, boom. boom. They go, no, stop. I go, what? You done called devil? I said, what did? They said, you're calling a devil.
Oh.
I go, oh, Oshia. Which meant, I'm so sorry. Oh, Oshia. Had to call a devil? Yes. The devil did come. And pretty soon you can hear out in the woods an answering sound just like what I was making.
Yeah. From the devil.
It's the devil coming in. He says, the devil did come. You're not able to see him. If you go inside this hut, I give you a cot, you lay down here, you do not look out the window, you stay here and sleep all night. I'd heard of this before happening to Peace Corps people who were out in the village and they look and the guys blow pepper in their eyes and they go blinded for about a day.
Ooh.
So I said, myself, I'm not going to look at this. Don't worry, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty soon I hear a drum start beating. I'm laying in the cot. I hear a drum beating, and then another one, and then a whistle. And then I hear singing start. This village had about 100 people in it. 200 maybe at the most. It is full of beating and drumming and dancing.
Oh, man.
All night long.
Yeah.
All night long. That's one of the two or three most memorable sleeps I've ever had in my life.
Absolutely.
I totally trusted them. No matter what they did, I wasn't going to go and violate their customs. And in the morning, I go out to greet them, and they greet me like they've just been released from a ton of problems in their life. They're happy, they're engaged, they're thrilled, and it's just wonderful.
Mm.
And they offer me this coffee, and it's got cream and sugar, and I go, oh, thank you. It's good, so good. And we go on our way. And then another time, I think it was the same trip, another night, I'm with Eric Fraser, and we're at another small village, and we drink amale, palm wine, I think, and then we go, they say, let's go sit on the side of a hill. So we walk about a quarter mile, half mile to an opening. This hill is kind of like a smooth pasture.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting there, there's probably about 8 or 10 of us. We're not drunk. We've had some palm wine, so okay. We're sober.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just sitting there after eating and just digesting, looking at the stars, because you can see the stars. And all of a sudden, the sky has like a curtain, a white curtain of daylight come down and expand outward. Boom! It became brighter than it is right now outside my window, John.
Mm-hmm.
Richard. It became daylight. And we could see everybody. We could see the trees and the grass and everything. And then it closed. Just as soon as it immediately closed and ended.
Wow.
We all looked at each other's. We didn't see each other. We couldn't see. We said, Elena, what to do? I said, what happened? I don't know, man. What happened? What's up? What did the neighbors are going? It's a continuing. Yeah. They go, we don't know. I said, have you been to see this? You saw me? What didn't happen? What didn't do? They go, no, we don't saw me. We don't saw me. They didn't know. They didn't know anything about what the F happened. I don't know.
You don't know.
None of us knew. But it was like Richard's like a curtain. Whoo, whoo, broad daylight. Whoo, whoo, black midnight. It was incredible. And you know, I finally heard a guy on a radio channel he was talking astronomy and stars and comets and stuff. And so I got his name and address. I think it might have been the guy at the University of Texas Observatory. If you have probably heard that, used to hear that on NPR.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I wrote my experience down to this guy, sent it to him. Maybe it's an email even. And I said, do you happen to have any idea? Nuclear explosion, UFO, comet?
Yeah.
What? And the best he came back with, in a detached, analytical sort of way, empirical sort of way, was, oh, most likely it was a meteorite.
Huh?
Okay, could have been.
Could have been.
Could have
Yeah.
been. Who knows? I don't know.
Huh. But man, what an experience for you.
Yeah. Oh.
And everybody else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to locate that civil engineer guy since then, since I got out of the Peace Corps, to talk to him about it. I can't locate him. I don't know where he is.
Oh. Huh. Well, that
Excuse
is
me.
quite some story.
But that's about most of the little vignettes.
Yeah. Well, boy, that's quite interesting. Did you give any thought to extending?
Yes.
Why and what happened?
I did not want to do, if the same Peace Corps guy was going to be there, same director, I didn't want to extend with under Pete. I don't think he would have picked me even after all we've been through, because of all we've been through. But his replacement came, and I met him. He visited my village. This is August. I'm leaving the end of August. We got along famously, like we were joined at the hip or something, as far as understanding the world and our perspectives on it. If he had been there, man, I would have gone another year.
There was no way you could get out of that?
Nah, I'd already said, written my draft board, told them I'm done, told my parents I'm coming back, you know, girlfriend I had at the time, told her I'm coming back.
Okay. So it's a done deal.
It was a done deal. But damn it, I would have loved it.
And you think you would have had another great year?
It would have been even bigger, greater.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you have a little bit of a regret then, don't you?
Oh, just, you know, just the way, what'd you say, the way circumstances or coincidences happen.
Yeah.
Well, this coincidence happened, but you know, it's a sliver of wonderful confirmation for me. But it just, one of those, train wasn't going my direction. Or, you know, I didn't have a ticket to this train, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
But it would have been a wonderful trip.
Well then, you came back. Did you come directly back?
I spent like 2 weeks visiting people I'd met in Europe, one in Spain and one in England, 2 in England.
Who are these people that you met?
I met Spanish guys when I went to Spain.
Oh, this is not related to Peace Corps.
Well, actually it is, because Peace Corps you get 3 weeks vacation each year. So I took mine and went to Spain.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
We didn't get anything like that.
Well, you know, you had your option. They give you, you know, you do what you want. I said, well, I know what I'll do. And then in England, you know, met on a night train, met some Spanish guys who adopted me and my girlfriend at the time, adopted us as family. Found a place for us to live in Sevilla, right on the Guadalquivir River, where Columbus sailed to the New World.
Wow.
Took us out every night to meet their friends, to dance, party. I didn't even speak Spanish. I just struggled with it. These guys learned to speak English by reading a newspaper. Reading English newspaper. They're so intelligent and gifted. Excuse me, and I went to England to see the VS, Volunteer Service to America.
Oh yeah, those guys.
I mean to overseas.
Yeah.
The English Peace Corps version. I went to visit this guy at his home.
Oh, that was neat.
Yeah.
Where, in London?
No, in Manchester.
Oh, man.
He's a big soccer guy too, so he drove me by one of the big soccer stars' home. And, he took me to a soccer game too. Football game.
Wouldn't this be pretty costly to tour Spain and England?
Well,
Peace Corps is paying for this?
No, Peace Corps gives you money to go home, one-way ticket. You can take that ticket and cash it in for cash and buy another ticket that you want to go.
Oh, I see. But
you're done with Peace Corps, they're done with you.
I got that. But I thought you were talking about you got 3 weeks off 1 year.
Oh, I did.
Well, they paid for that, didn't they?
No, I got to pay for it myself.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, I could have just stayed in Sierra Leone or gone down to the Ivory Coast or Guinea or Kenya or any place in Africa. Yeah, I can go anywhere that I can afford to go. But I just want to see my girlfriend. She
How
was,
did you get a girlfriend in all this?
she from the state, from Oklahoma.
Oh, from
She wound up in Germany teaching at a U.S. Air Force base in Germany.
Ah,
She was a speech therapist. So then she and I agreed, well, we could meet halfway in Spain, and I could see you. I could.
Yeah.
And so I had a little savings, a couple $100 back in the States. I got that. Anyway, we just cobbled together our whatever funds we could find and
oh, great, great.
bought a ticket there and back.
Mm-hmm. So that was 1 3-week vacation,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
And then you had another 3-week vacation.
Yes.
Where did you go?
Same place.
Same place,
Yeah.
same girl.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you get married later on?
That's another story.
Oh, never mind then. But anyway, then I think you were also telling me that on the way
As a matter of
home-
fact, to answer your question, yes, I did. We married later on.
Oh, all right.
And
Okay.
she's a wonderful, intelligent woman, too.
All right. You told me that, or I got the impression that you visited some countries on your way back to the United
Yes,
States.
yes. And so the Peace Corps ticket back to wherever I was living at the time, I think is somewhere in the East Coast or Oklahoma. Anyway, I took the money and I exchanged it for cash ticket.
Yeah.
And then with that money, I bought a ticket to Spain, a ticket to England, and then I had to get some of my own money to make a ticket back to the States.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that's how I lived. Plus, they gave you, whatever you could save if you could save anything,
Mm-hmm. It was called, for me, it was called readjustment allowance. And you got it when you got out.
I didn't get it until 6 weeks after I was home, something like that. So yeah, $75 a month for
Yeah. Yeah.
2 years, I guess. It's like $1,500,
Yeah.
and I thought it was a king's ransom,
Yeah. Yeah. So when you got back, did you have any trouble readjusting?
Well, Richard, they said that, I'm sure you got the same spiel we did. You got to learn to readjust because there's a readjustment period you go through when you
Yeah.
get back to the States, Richard, as we all know. And for me, I just realized a few years ago that I'm still readjusting. It pivoted and changed my life for the better, for the best.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't imagine otherwise. And I'm still readjusting.
Ah. I think that might be a good way to end.